The Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome back to the Bliss Business Podcast series, Scaling with Purpose, our 10-minute podcast series where we explore how to embed purpose into every level of your organization. I'm Steven Skash here with Tulio Siragusa. Hey, Tulio.
Welcome back, everybody.
So today we're talking about purpose at the heart of your culture, how to make purpose a living, breathing part of your organization's DNA so it inspires every employee every day. So purpose isn't something that is living on a plaque, right? Or in some strategic document somewhere. It's something you really need to feel when you walk into a room or work with a team or talk to an organization's leaders. When purpose is embedded in the culture like this, it becomes the foundation of how people think, act, and make decisions. It's really, I love the way describing it as this living, breathing thing, because it really does come to bring your company to life in a lot of ways.
So it's not about, that's why people want everybody back at the office so that they can see that plaque at the entrance with some cool statement on there, right? No.
Yeah, that doesn't do it.
That's not what it is. So, the challenge is that many companies have a clear purpose statement, but struggle to translate it into their daily culture. It's this idea like, hey, let's get everybody in the office so they can see it. Well, that's not going to solve anything, right? So it's not enough for leadership to talk about the purpose. It really has to be woven into the organization habits, systems, and behaviors. So we're going to discuss some of the ways to embed purpose into your culture so that every employee feels connected to it. And that's the goal. You got to enroll and connect everyone to it, and it can't be sold. So let's talk about that, because I think that's going to be key. So first, you've got to make purpose part of everyday conversations. For purpose to become part of your culture, you need to talk about it often and intentionally. So it becomes like part of your shtick every day, right? And, leaders can weave purpose into team meetings, one-on-one conversation, performance reviews. And the key is connecting what people do and why it matters as it tied to the company's purpose. So it's constantly bubbling it up and then tying to, hey, what you do really contributes to our purpose. So there's a lot of that needs to happen. And then when employees see how their work contributes or ties to the bigger picture, that adds more meaning and motivation behind what they're doing, right? So the leaders can also ask purpose-driven questions to keep it top of mind. Questions like, how does this project align with our purpose? What impact are we creating with this decision? So it's got to be an intentional conversation that takes place. And by bringing purpose into these everyday conversations, you're reminding people why they work matters, not why they're there, but why their work matters. They'll understand why they're there on their own. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah, exactly. And, when we're talking about employees too, I also think, as founder, of company, having this helps me a lot too. Like when we first articulated this way back when within our own company, I just felt my energy shift and change. So it's, not just, employees, but your leadership, everybody. So if you're a small business and you're, trying to move everything yourself, this is really kind of a key to giving you a lot of that energy back in your life, for sure. So it's about really reinforcing the why consistently is what we're talking about, so that it doesn't feel abstract. It feels real. And so that brings us to this second key element: recognize and reward purpose-led behavior. So when people live the purpose through their actions, celebrate it. We do this a lot, and we even have specific things that we do, sort of ritualized, systemized things within our company. So recognition is one of the most effective ways to embed that purpose into the culture, because it signals what your organization truly values. So, for example, highlight employees who made decisions that are aligned with purpose, even if it was the harder choice. That comes up every now and then. share stories of purpose-led wins. So whether it's a customer success story or an internal project that exemplified the company's mission, and every time we're mentioning these 2 points, I'm thinking of several things we're doing at our company where like the stories will come up, or the Slack channels we have to share this. So there's a lot of ways to do this, and it just becomes this sort of systemized thing. But storytelling is such a powerful tool here. So share stories because they're memorable, they inspire others to act in ways that align with the purpose too.
And these things, we do them intentionally. They're built into our meetings, and they're literally scheduled into the agenda, the specific things we want to accomplish. So it's got to be intentional, as we mentioned. So this purpose-led behavior becomes contagious when it's recognized and celebrated too. As you had said earlier, bring attention to when someone actually does something that contributed to the purpose of the company. And this brings us to the third point here, which is key. You need to also align systems and policies with your purpose. So you can't leave no stone unturned. Everything has to align. And so if you want purpose to live in your culture, you have to design systems, processes, and policies to reflect it. Now, so what does that mean? That means that you hire people who align with the organization's purpose, including purpose-based questions in your interviews to assess values alignment, right? People talk about, we just want to make sure you're culturally aligned. It's not about culture. It's actually alignment towards the purpose. The culture can change with every introduced individual, but as long as there's alignment on the purpose, that's what's going to keep everybody on point. And then onboarding new employees with a clear emphasis on the company's purpose and their role in advancing it. Don't focus so much on the expectation on their day-to-day work product, but realign with the expectation in terms of how they can align around the purpose. And that's also in the process showing that we have trust on employees, even at the onboarding process, because we're creating an expectation that the highest ideal is to be purpose-driven. And then design even performance metrics that go beyond profits to include purpose-driven outcomes like social impact. How much time are people contributing to volunteering? Employee well-being? Are people spending time in taking care of themselves and their families? Or customer satisfaction? So that's the key thing, is to be woven into the policies and systems so that there's constant alignment.
Yeah, and where the magic usually happens in this is when you can get the purpose to show up, not just in words, but in systems and policies. So we always talk about build, love, into scalable systems all the time. And really it is trying to systemize this stuff so that here, for example, so if your purpose is to foster sustainability, your company policies might include stuff like, reducing waste, partnering with some ethical suppliers that are like-minded, right? Or offering some kind of incentives or something for employees who use these eco-friendly practices. But these are kind of systems. They're just part of who you are and how you run things. Well, for us, empathy is just a huge thing in our business. And we were talking even today in the middle of, after the end of the meeting, we're like, hey, that worked really well. How can we make this into a system, this sort of empathy check kind of thing that we want to do at the end of the meeting? But that's because we know it's got to be part of the system. It can't just be, hey, wow, we found something that worked really well in this one meeting, and that's the end of it, right? So purpose got to be part of the operating system of the business.
We created the empathy QA, quality assurance.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, we just know, hey, this worked really well, and we know it's going to work really well. We just need to make sure it consistently happens. So when purpose drives hiring or onboarding and recognition, employees don't just hear about it, they kind of experience it. And over time, really, that's what shapes the culture, right? Is when you can experience it like that. So let's recap real quick here, the 3 steps for embedding purpose into your culture. So talk about purpose often and connect it to everyday work. Then recognize and reward purpose-driven behavior, and then align systems and policies to reflect your purpose. So when leaders make purpose visible in these ways, it becomes more than a statement or a plaque on the wall. It really becomes this shared mindset and energizes the organization. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. That's really the key. And little by little, a little can make a lot. Thanks for joining us again on this episode of Scaling with Purpose. So we talked about how embedding purpose into culture of your organization so that it's lived and breathed in every employee. So in the next episode, we're going to dive into purpose and employee engagement and how strong purpose can boost motivation, retention, and overall team satisfaction. If you're enjoying this series, don't forget to subscribe and share it. Until next time, keep scaling with purpose.